This is early for me, so if people know me, I'm not a morning person. And I would wish they would move it at 1 o'clock. I think that's more reasonable time. So anyway, but it is TED Talk, and you have to accommodate them, right? So let me start, if I can pull this out. This is my family. A century ago, the guy in the middle, we call him Lolo Iko, left everything he owned, his family, and moved to the Philippines. He did it because he wanted to have a better future, and he wanted to learn. That in one day, that he can give his kids the proper education and provide for them a means to travel the world, seek, and wherever they land, they better it. This photo was taken in 1940, 42. He's about my age. He'd had 14 kids, 2 passed away. He was an amazing man. But that, I have 50 cousins that followed this path, 50. And we all left. Some came back. But he instilled in us this notion that education is key, that you have to follow your dreams, and that wherever you go, you become a better citizen and help change the place. This is one of the islands in the southwestern Philippines called Palawan. He settled here. We grew a pretty big family. It's a beautiful place. This island taught us to respect nature, to admire it, to be in awe. This is where we learned to swim. So we played. It gave us respite from the warm sun. This also gave us, my family, a livelihood from the bounty of the sea. So we coexisted. We learned how to build. We learned how to live. We appreciated it, and we're one and the same. Yet between these islands in this great water, there was a trade, a necessity, to travel in between. So there was a tradition of boat building that we engaged. It was simply very easy. It was a dugout canoe with bamboo, outriggers, and a lawnmower engine. But it was passed from generation to generation, father to son, distinct from area to area. That was my first exposure to what we call craft, building, and being a genius. It was very, very simple. So amidst this great, I think it's a beautiful country, 7,000 islands, there is also great poverty. But within this poverty rose a sense of resourcefulness and diligence, wherein people use everything that they can use, at their reach, to build a shelter, a wall for themselves. I grew up, everything was recycled. Not recycling, it was basically picking up the trash and organizing it and reselling it. So it was not recycling, it was basically how some people made money. So I don't think it will surprise you that with 2 old flip-flops, some barbecue sticks, and a can of sardines from what you ate the night before became our version of a Tonka toy. This is our truck. I remember kids everywhere using this. So it rolls. I try to make it, and my memory serves me well. Now, I was born in 1967, and it was a time when we were under a great dictator, military dictator called Ferdinand Marcos, and I didn't know any better. So I didn't know what freedom was. I didn't know, the sense of it. But there was this woman, a widower, a housewife, that engaged us and lifted us upon 30 years of military repression. Very, very unconventional. It was also almost bloodless. That's unheard of at that time. So this taught me the idea that sometimes, if you want to make a revolution, you have to use unconventional thinking. So, 1985, I came to this country, these 2 boxes, 70 pounds, times 2. It's a maximum you can fit in your car. I mean, in your plane. And 27 years later, I realized that there's only 3 things I needed: resourcefulness, simplicity, and this unconventional thinking to help me with my craft. At the Port of Portland Airport, we were given this task to elevate a culture to show stewardship of an institution, or leadership in sort of the stewardship of nature of an institution. We had this big building. We had terrible land because it had water underneath us, and it was very heavy. So we're going to need 1,600 piles to hold it up, 1,600. So I said, that's a lot of piles, I think so. What can we do with it? So it became like, well, back home, we built everywhere. And it seems that those piles need to do something. So what we did was we harvested the cold water from those piles, and it cooled the building. So this building has one of the cleanest environments. We don't use Freon. It's almost carbon-free, and it uses 50% less energy than an average building. Then we got tricky. We said, oh, let's do something with the water. We wanted to catch rainwater, but we would need a 10,000-gallon tank. We didn't have any room. So we said, well, the next thing might be dirty is the gray water, which is what you flush and what you wash your hands from. And so we said, let's look at this same process that filters the water in marshland. So we're using a living machine that filters the water in the closed-loop system using plant and animals, microorganisms to filter it. What we have is a closed-loop system. We're using 74% less water just in the flushing mechanism, not in drinking. So it is about using what's underneath your feet. Then Oregon came and said, can you build us a facility that would elevate the learning and the success of the student athletes? I said, yeah, sure, of course. I went to school there, named after the place. Why not? So traditional method was say, let's look inside, brick and mortar. That's traditional. We said we've gone beyond that. We know that learning is really about this really broad manner with different sources of stimulus and also evolving day to day. So I looked back and said that maybe it's really about being in a landscape, that you're influenced by a garden around you and you get inspired. So we wanted to build a building in the garden wherein the floors and the interior and the landscape are one, when the building are all windows. Well, this is very closely to where I grew up, second nature. This is what we do, We've always been so close to this great landscape. But in this region, because of the temperature, it's all walls and windows. Actually, you can only have 40% windows. So how do we do that? Well, how many of you here owns fleece, down jacket, and undergarment? Raise your hand. So it was a simple solution at the end of the day, head scratcher. Use layers. So we have our 3 layers. Serious, it was very simple. I mean, it's more technical than that. We could only find one engineering company around the world that had a mathematical equation to quantify it, but we did. So it's 3 layers that all are transparent membrane that works together as one whole machine. So you can see the wall on the left is 87% window. The wall on the right is probably 30%, 40%. But this system that we created functions and capable of functioning. I think that's tremendous. This building is the John Jaqua Academic Center at the University of Oregon, named after John Jaqua. He was a war hero, a lawyer, and educator. I think it was appropriate. It's a very, very simple building. It's a box on water. But it's a building that signifies a great entrance and sort of shown everybody where the University of Oregon's aspiration for itself, but also for its students, athletes' success academically. It is a building that I think that has seamless joint between the outside and inside. This is a view from one of the rooms. It's amazing in an area we call, like rainy, no sunlight. If you do it right with enough windows, it's amazing how much sunlight you get and how beautiful you can do with it. I think the testament of its success is really the community that it's built. We build them a home within campus that they all come together, know each other, and learn from each other. Now, in the first 100 years of the university, there were 59 academic All-Americans. Since we opened the door for this building, we've had 9 more. So that is, I think, a testament to this building. I'm sure it's a small success because you have to give it to the students and to the tutors, the coaches. But the building has been a great, great place for it. It also gave us the ability to give a wall, places, a pantheon where we can celebrate the past, the people who did it, to illustrate that they have a path in getting a successful life. This is the wall that has the examples of Bill Bowerman, Phil Knight, Joey Harrington, who's done well academically, athletically, but also professionally. This takes me back to my family. Education is our root. Yet it's a very simple building. Simple box and a body of water. It's in my heart. This is the lagoon where I got all the inspiration. It's where my father and I swam many times. So, over this past 12 minutes, I'm timing myself because I'm supposed to be out. I've spoken about and opened what's inside my box. And it's a very simple thing. These are mine. These are my value system. So now, I challenge all of you, 650, 700 people here, to open yours and help better this world. Thank you.